I don't feel like my job's that spiritual. I'm just a sound tech. I'm not part of the worship team. Everybody else in the Bible has a hero, but where's the sound techs? Lies! All lies! You may have said some of these things, but they are not true. In this video, we're doing things a little bit differently. Remember how I'm here to help you make every worship mix an enjoyable one? Well, part of that enjoyment is knowing how important you are to the worship team and how your job really does have a biblical basis. If you're new here, go ahead and hit subscribe and ding the little bell to get notified every time I post a new video. But if you have been here a while and you haven't subscribed, why haven't you subscribed? Usually I'm giving you lots of tips and tricks for how to use the console, but today we're looking at the operator. Psst, that's you. If you've run sound at church for more than 1 week, you've probably felt underappreciated. And then when you catch slack for something going wrong, either because it was your fault or somebody else's fault, you can get spitting mad, want to shut off the console and walk out. No? Just me? Okay. But if you know how important you are and how much God values you in that position, it makes it a whole lot easier to bite your lip the next time somebody comes up to the sound booth yapping about the mistake that you made, or they totally ignore the way that you saved the day with your MacGyver-like skills with a Z. Now, if you know American football, we're like the offensive linemen of the church service. When we do our jobs really well, everybody else gets the credit. But if we mess up, our name is mud. I mean, like trash. It's really sad, but really true. So today I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. His name is Bezalel. He's found in Exodus 31 and 36, and if you read it and think about what he got to do, it's all pretty cool. So let's read together. See, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, the tribe of Judah. And I have filled him with the Spirit of God, and with wisdom and understanding, in knowledge and in all manner of workmanship. If he would have had moving lights and a soundboard, he would have used it all. To design artistic works, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, in cutting jewels for setting, in carving wood, and to work in all manner of workmanship. All right, so we've got the Israelites in the wilderness, fresh out of slavery, been making bricks for a while. Moses just met with God and saw the heavenly temple and got plans for how to make the tabernacle there in the wilderness so his people could worship him. And the plans he got were really specific. But it's not like the children of Israel were taking night classes online in wood carving, metalwork, and jewelry setting. So God set the Holy Spirit on Bezalel and all his buddies so that they could make everything they needed to so that the people could worship God in the wilderness. And maybe that's how you're feeling right now with streaming or just audio in general. It feels like you don't know how to do this thing, but you've been given this task. Did you catch how he was filled with the Spirit of God? That's not a little thing. And it wasn't actually all that common back then. Some people say this might be the first time somebody was filled with the Holy Spirit. So do you need the Holy Spirit for simple tasks or hard tasks? I mean, Jesus had to be filled with the Holy Spirit and he had a hard job. You have a hard job too, and you need to be filled with the Holy Spirit. Now, in the New Testament, after Pentecost, we've been given the Holy Spirit in a greater measure than they had in the Old Covenant. And in John 14:26, Jesus said that the Helper would come and teach us all things. And to me, when I read all things, I think all things means all things. As a born-again believer, if you have the Holy Spirit, you can ask him for help. Seriously, you can say the words, Holy Spirit, help me learn how to do sound better. Go ahead, you can do it now. So if you're with me so far, type Help Me Holy Spirit down in the comments below. The next thing that I want to point out from this passage that's going to take a whole lot of weight off of your shoulders is that Bezalel was building what Moses said to build. As a sound tech, you are underneath the leadership team at your church. You have authority directly over you, and you don't have to be responsible for exactly how loud it should be or how much emphasis there should be on this instrument or that instrument. That needs to be determined by your worship leader and the leadership team. You're just executing what they say to do. So when somebody comes up and starts flapping their lips at you, you can say, hey, I'm serving the way that I've been trained to. If you have a difference of opinion of how it should be, I'm sure the leadership team would love to talk to you about it. Now, if you haven't worked all that out with your leadership team, I do have a guide that you can download called How to Lead Your Church Sound Team. I'll put the link down in the description below, but it walks you through all these questions with your leadership team so that you can have a clear understanding of what winning is like when you're running sound at church. Now, when we're talking about audio gear or even video and lighting too, We have to make sure that it's not created into an idol. So what's the difference between what Aaron made with the golden calf while Moses was up on the mountain and what Bezalel made for the tabernacle? The real difference is how it was used. The golden calf that Aaron made was made to be worshipped, and that was out of order because only God should be worshipped. The stuff that Bezalel made were tools used for worship. So when you're approaching your soundboard, your lighting console, or your video screens, you have to remember that these are tools used so that people turn their eyes and attention to Jesus, not turn their attention to the technology. When you've got that confidence and things are lined up right, it makes it a whole lot easier to spend money on the right things. We want our worship services to be a beautiful environment, both in the way that they sound and in the way that they look. Although I have seen a bunch of churches that don't give a rip what it looks like. The only thing is, it has to line up with your calling. Some churches are called to simplicity in technology and production, and that's perfectly okay. But if you just have an acoustic guitar and a hand drum to accompany your singers, you should make that acoustic guitar and that hand drum sound the best possible for inviting people to sing along in worship. On the flip side, there are churches like Bethel and Elevation Worship that are called to push the boundaries for incorporating technology into the worship service. And we need them to do what they're doing too, because God is worthy of excellence in every area of life. So even if your church is called to simplicity, don't use that as an excuse for having poor quality. On a side note, aren't excuses in the Bible funny? I mean, when Moses asked Aaron, "What's going on here? What's the golden calf?" Aaron's like, "Oh, we just threw it in the fire and out it came." Right. Now, I know this isn't what I'm usually talking about, but if this was helpful for you and you'd like to see more stuff like it, go ahead and hit thumbs up to let me know. And as always, it's all about the low end, avoid the sound tech solo, and nobody leaves church humming the kick drum. We'll see you back here next time on Attaway Audio.